Before we get started, I just want to say that I'm thoroughly enjoying Fire Emblem Engage. I'm currently making my way through the endgame, and then we can start on some fun videos. But before the final stretch, we have some FEH news with this month's Mythic Banner. Quite a surprise for the first monthly banner of the year, since we have a double Mythic Banner with two completely unrelated characters. I believe we also have our first Rearmed hero rerun. Keep in mind the FEH anniversary is in about a week on February 2nd, so maybe hold steady if you want to see the anniversary Hero Fest and whatever other surprises may come our way. Today though, we'll talk about our 2 new Mythics and the 10 other heroes on the banner. First up, Mythic Fomortiis. Final boss of Sacred Stones, the one who possessed Leon and Destroyer of my orbs. Seriously man, for the past year I think my orb stash is safe, and then a single random Sacred Stones ult comes out, and now we got the Demon King himself. At this point, I'm not even sure what other legendary mythics can come from Sacred Stones. We've basically used up everyone, including evil regular Leon, and if Ascended Joshua is a sign of things, I suspect the other royals may get the Ascended or Rearmed spots for future banners. Maybe Draco Zombie Morva, that would be cool. Anyway, Fomortiis has shown up in Fallen Leon's attack animations before, but this time he is fully resurrected as a colorless beast army unit. His art is goddamn amazing and looks straight out of Yu-Gi-Oh or something. Fomortiis will be an anima mythic boosting speed, and arguably you could say he is the pure enemy phase version of someone like Fallen Edelgard, which is concerning. Maybe Kanagus is a better comparison. He is most definitely going to be a slow min-maxed unit. For Oscos, he comes with Bonfire, which he will charge in one hit, and he has attack defense far save to punch range attackers. One neat thing about Fomortiis in FEH is that they managed to give him all 3 of his attacks from Sacred Stones. Ravager is the punch, but his killing animation is probably to represent his range attack, Demon Light. His third attack is represented by his unique A skill. For Ravager, it accelerates specials, and if Fomortiis is above 25% HP, he gets Special Fighter, aka Guard, and Breath type cooldown. You do need to be transformed for the extra special charge though. Now, if the foe initiates combat, Fomortiis reduces follow-up attacks by 80%. As an army unit, if he is transformed, you get distant counter, hence the far save C skill. Fomortiis has a way to always transform, so he can consistently far save, and obviously Special Fighter plus accelerated specials means Bonfire is coming on the counterattack if you do not one-shot him. If you double Fomortiis, you need to get past Guard and 80% DR. Relatively simple looking weapon, but it's very annoying when it's on a super min-maxed high BST army unit. Fomortiis' last attack in Sacred Stones is Nightmare, which puts everyone around him to sleep if hit. In FEH, if the foe initiates combat or has more than 75% HP, inflict a giant -10 second defense on the enemy and reduce damage from the foe's first attack by 30%. Additionally, if the foe initiated, after combat, the closest foes within 4 spaces of the main target immediately end their turn. Yikes. We barely just got Sather and her turn ending mechanic, which is already appearing elsewhere. As a far save unit, this is extra effective because ranged units will end up closer to their teammates when attacking, meaning Nightmare has a higher chance at tagging someone. Additionally, if you keep attacking Fomortiis, Nightmare keeps on triggering, and with save skills, he can just jump into fight over and over. This just makes things more annoying even if you have dancers or ways to handle the initial Nightmare sleep. Pair this with a Kanto control backline and or a Bulwark frontline to just set up a very formidable formation around the Demon King. Now, in terms of combat, -10 attack and defense basically for free is disgusting. With Ravager, that's basically -16 attack and defense at all times. Fomortiis then has the 30% DR for one hit, which leads into the 80% DR for hit number 2 onwards. We've seen this before, doesn't make it any less gross to face. Now, to help Fomortiis transform, he introduces Beast Follow-up 3 to the game, removes the condition to transform, unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Literally 0 conditions to meet here. Beast units always transform and get a follow-up on either phase. Similar to the tier 4 Dragon's Ire, now beast units get a skill for follow-up attacks on either phase, which benefit a lot of those free-to-play slow beasts we've gotten. For example, Flame Mordecai has a built-in follow-up denial, so with Beast Follow-up, you can get Omnibreaker, and he transforms to take advantage of the Infantry Beast tempo effects. I assume Beast Follow-up will be inheritable by any beast type. At the very least, Infantry should get it as well. Back to Fomortiis, along with guaranteed distant counter is ready, he gets a follow-up attack to abuse Special Fighter's cooldown power. If you have Armor March or just warping capabilities, the Demon King can get off a 1-2 knockout even on the player phase, which is nice. Generally speaking, Mythic Fomortiis will be very annoying for those not prepared, probably going to have incredibly high defensive stats and will instantly counter with Bonfire if you don't stop his special charging. If you don't pierce damage reduction, you're in a bad spot too. That then brings us to Hardy Fighter, which feels like it could work on him. The only issue is needing to transform, which is a similar issue as Knagus. However, if you just want to survive, then it might be better than Beast Follow-Up. With Hardy Fighter, you can ignore DR Piercing on the first hit specials, and you still get 80% DR for follow-up attacks. Afterwards, Nightmare then freezes the attacker's teammates, which is where a lot of Fomortiis' value comes from. Similar to Kanto Control or Warp Bubble, you really need to pay attention when Fomortiis is on the field. Kinda hard to get around that when he has far save though. Speaking of which, if you instead go for near save, you don't need to transform, you don't need distant counter, you're just gonna lose out on 2 attack. You could do that too. Overall, Fomortiis looks very annoying. If anything, absolutely amazing artwork, and he has a hilarious chibi sprite when transformed. I willingly / begrudgingly will cough up some orbs for a copy. Next unit in this Mythic doubleheader is Mythic Gotoh. Gotoh shares some similarities with Fomortiis, which is maybe why they came together. Gotoh actually has a nice support buff for Fomortiis as well, but he's a light mythic that boosts resistance. He will be a colorless infantry mage, so you can get either of our newest mythics in the same color group. Not sure how Gotoh's stats will come, but he is also looking to be quite slow. I assume he will be a bulkier mage based on his kit. For old skills, we have Iceberg and Joint Distant Guard, nothing wrong with extra in-combat buffs. Gotoh comes with the Brilliant Starlight Tome, which accelerates specials, and at start of turn, if he has more than 25% HP, grant plus 6 defense and res field buffs, and a status that reduces damage from area of effect specials by 80% to Gotoh and allies within 2 spaces. Very unique effect. Basically, Gotoh will be a pretty hard counter to AoE specials since he can grant his whole team 80% DR when those specials hit. If you don't run into these specials though, it's still a solid plus 6 defense and res buff. Now, if Gotoh has more than 25% HP in combat, he inflicts minus 6 attack and res on the foe, neutralizes their attack and res field buffs, he gets Nelsie Disrupt to counter fire sweep effects, and after combat, Gotoh heals 7 HP. Not too shabby, and again, you can see this man is going to be quite tanky, at least as far as mages go. Innate Nelsie Disrupt is quite good if you need it, and there's a lot of defensive perks for Gotoh. To complete Gotoh's kit, he has Gift of Magic as a unique A skill. If Gotoh initiates or the foe is ranged, inflict minus 10 attack and res on them. Gotoh will get a follow-up attack, and if he receives consecutive attacks, reduce the second hit onward by 80%. Additionally, if a ranged foe initiates combat and can make a follow-up attack, Gotoh lets them use that follow-up before he fights back. Essentially, Gift of Magic has Brave Ike's Irvin Refine. He gives the enemy desperation to purposefully trigger the 80% DR. Keep in mind, this only works for ranged attackers on the enemy phase. For player phase though, you can still trigger the 80% damage reduction if Gotoh attacks 1 time, and then he gets hit back twice. This works if his follow-up attack is cancelled out, or if the foe has dual phase Brave attacks, which has become quite common this past year. That being said, Gotoh has some decent firepower. He also inflicts a fat minus 16 attack and res on the foe, and you get a follow-up similar to Fomortiis. He won't be charging instant icebergs, but you still need to watch out. For his new inheritable skill, Gotoh brings the long overdue Guard 4 B skill. At start of combat, if unit has more than 25% HP, inflict minus 4 attack on the foe, inflict special cooldown charge minus 1 on the foe, aka the guard effect, and then unit gets 30% DR for 1 hit. Guard 4 goes from an 80% HP condition to 25%, which is much easier to use in multiple fights. You also get more defensive perks with minus 4 attack debuffs and 30% DR for 1 hit. Again, like for Fomortiis, Gotoh has 30% DR for hit number 1, then 80% DR for hit number 2. If you do not pierce damage reduction, have fun again. For Guard 4 in general, fairly decent option for guard and damage reduction on either phase. Any unit type should be able to inherit this skill, so another DR source for cavaliers and flyers, plus even healers. It could work decently with some of our arcane weapons, although obviously it's a more defensive option. With the newest arcane Qiang Lance, you get Omnibreaker, Special Fighter, and damage reduction, not too bad. With the arcane Downfall Axe, you get Special Fighter, DR, and Follow-Up Denial with healing, similar but slightly different. Recently, we've had some talk about how low defense mages lack a lot of options to just not explode from physical damage. It's not crazy, but 30% DR could be a difference maker. Maybe you could stack it with the new Remote Sparrow. With that said, lots of B skill competition, and we have a more offensive guard B skill option thanks to the Seal 4 skills. Regardless, nice to see the skill line finally get an upgrade. Now where's my Brash Assault for? Gotoh offers a very specific support niche, but if you cannot deal with AoE specials, this is just an instant way to counter against them. Save scale super tanks are going to be impossible to KO with this buff since I don't think anything pierces DR for AoE specials. Sadly, this means little if your team gets hit by endless undefended status. Kind of a big problem for Aether Raids. Odd or even Pulse Tie can completely prevent the special by uncharging them, but Gotoh does provide methods to deal with things like Dual Crom or the new Dual Asker from using their abilities to charge special during the turn itself. This is mainly relevant to summoner duels, so if AoE spamming is your strategy and you see this guy on the other team, then maybe that might not end well. Since Gotoh also has no C Disrupt, he can just tank Fire Sweep users, and they have to chew through 30% DR, then 80% DR, plus minus 16 attack debuffs, technically would guard for its minus 20 attack. Keep in mind, Gotoh is basically a ranged specialist for enemy phase. If a melee unit walks up to him, he gets no 80% damage reduction, and he loses minus 10 attack from those debuffs. He'll probably be pretty beefy stat-wise, but I'm sure any decent melee tagger can take him out. Overall, interesting unit that really messes with AoE strategies, and he has some big damage reduction perks. Sadly, with no access to defensive specials, you can't do anything super crazy. If a unit can pierce damage reduction, maybe pairing Gotoh with Ymir's Miracle Field could let him survive and counter back. Unfortunately, if he goes to 1 HP on the first hit, Gift of Magic lets them attack again, and even with 80% DR, I don't think you can reduce the damage to 0. It would work on the second hit, but otherwise not a perfect solution. You also need to watch out for quad attacks, and for dagger units, you might let them proc a big lethality. Hopefully the minus 16 or minus 20 attack is enough to hold out. Let's now talk about the 10 other units on the banner. First up, red is quite spicy with Reginn, Legendary Veronica, and Rearmed Leaf, our first Rearmed hero rerun. Blue will have Ullr, Legendary Dimitri, and Monica. Green has Freyja, Legendary Edelgard, and Ascended Hilda. Then in Colorless, extremely enticing group of Fomortiis, Gotoh, and Arval's first return. Starting us off, in red is Reginn, an Astro Mythic and the free unit of Book 5. She is still a decent offensive Sword Cavalier since her Safe to Show special charges itself on turn 1 and has adaptive damage. Her sword grants some damage reduction, and it also has Kanto 3, but only for 4 turns. Even if you don't need more copies, she has nice fodder. So Sparrow 3 can be picked up with either Low Speed and Defense 3 or Panic Smoke 3 in full. Even though Reginn isn't the most insane pick since everyone has her, she is joined by 2 newer units. First is Legendary Veronica making a very quick return. She's a Glass Cannon Red Mage Cavalier that is also very fast and can prevent foes from counterattacking if they are grouped up. If not, she also has Desperation to hit twice in a row and can proc her Enclosure special, which pierces damage reduction while having no guard built in. Even if Gotoh can't fight back, Veronica will land Enclosure onto him. For her fodder, you have 3 top skills: Antagon Speed Catch 4, Speed and Res Far Trace 3, and Panic Smoke 4. Maybe you can use Reginn to get the first 3 tiers. Last up, Rearmed Leaf, a Sword Cavalier with pretty high attack and defense, and comes with Mythic Leaf's unique special and B skill. Open the Future is a bonfire that also heals, and Deadly Balance inflicts attack and defense debuffs and grants cooldown reduction when Leaf takes a hit. You then have the prized fodder piece, Leaf's Arcane Eleuthnir. We will for sure see other arcane swords at the pace we're going, but this weapon grants accelerated specials, inflicts minus 6 attack and defense, comes with Omnibreaker, and inflicts guard on the foe. Very solid weapon for bulkier sword units, especially armor units. You can get this arcane sword with attack and defense menace, but if you want attack and defense clash 4, which is only on Leaf, then you cannot pick up both. Quick note, I was thinking the anniversary would be primed for a Rearmed Hero Fest, but Leaf being here kinda shoots that idea down. Not saying it still couldn't happen, but maybe worthwhile to wait a week and see what the Hero Fest actually is. Next up is the blue group with some decent picks. Mythic Ullr is a light mythic and a blue infantry archer. She is pure offense with her bow having sword specials and no guard. Then her B skill grants offense and a follow-up with desperation. She has Time's Pulse, which puts Deadeye on 1 cooldown, and from there Ullr hits twice in a row while proccing Deadeye. Pretty good time to bring a DR piercing special, however the huge attack debuffs from Fomortiis and Gotoh will hurt Deadeye's damage. You really need high attack to push through. For other skills, Ullr has Life and Death 4. Second is Legendary Dimitri, a fast lance infantry unit. Eredbar has accelerated specials, plus 5 to all stats, and 40% dodge damage reduction. You also have the disgusting Atrocity B skill, which inflicts 25% attack as true damage, and after combat deals nearby foes with minus 5 to all stats and Pulse Smoke. For fodder, not the craziest skills, but Sturdy Impact and Odd Tempest are still nice if you need them. While Brave Dimitri got a huge glow up last year, Legendary Dimitri has kind of just been absorbing all the new inheritable skills coming out. Vital Astra, Godly Reflexes, Finish for A skills, Speed Smoke 4. There are a lot of gross builds you can try out. Last in the blue group is Monica. She's a blue infantry mage. She has high speed and Wind Genesis grants a +6 attack and speed field buff, grants +6 attack and speed in combat, and inflicts speed and res debuffs based on the foe's special cooldown. She also gets accelerated specials and a desperation status. Since Monica comes with speed and res tempo, she's kinda like legendary Veronica minus the DR piercing special and far sweep effects. With desperation coming from the weapon, perhaps you could use special Spiral 4 if you did want to pierce DR. Now, for Monica's last skill, we have attack and speed ideal 4. Since Muriel has the tier 3 as a demote, you could pass the tier 4 along with speed and res tempo to a fellow infantry unit. Moving along to the green group, we have Freyja, a light mythic who is pure speed. Her Nightmare Horn has distant counter and 40% dodge. Her Binding Necklace grants +2 to all stats, inflicts -2 to all stats on the foe, and steals the foe's field buffs. For skills, Freyja has attack and speed solo 4 and pulse smoke 3. While very fast, Freyja cannot access any of the new beast skills unless you replace Binding Necklace. She would love beast agility or near trace, but is it worth the trade-off? Next green unit is Legendary Edelgard. With regular Edelgard probably up for a refine sometime soon, Legendary feels a bit forgotten. She's an X-armored unit with low speed and high attack. A mirror simply inflicts -6 attack and defense and prevents the follow-up attack, but Raging Storm is what makes Edelgard special, letting her move again if she initiates while solo. It also does grant a follow-up attack against beasts and dragons. A remixed Raging Storm could be very interesting, and Amir definitely needs a refine too. Until then, I think most will continue to use Brave Edelgard for general combat power, or Harmonic Edelgard for running around the whole map. Speaking of which, Armored Stride grants +1 movement when solo, but honestly I feel like Assault Troop is kinda just easier to use, and the 3 movement is hilariously powerful with Raging Storm. By the way, in Engage, I have not felt more fear in an actual Fire Emblem game than watching an enemy general move like 8 spaces to run you down. I felt like I was watching Harmonic Edelgard. Anyway, last skill in this 80 is second res solo 3. Nothing too special. Last up, we have Ascended Hilda, who I think is making her first rerun too. She's a speedy axe infantry unit with some support capabilities. Fuming Fukugo grants nearby allies +3 to all stats and 20% DR for 1 hit. For Hilda herself, she can get +6 attack and speed, 40% DR for 1 hit, and true damage scaling off her speed when her special triggers. Hilda comes with Velocity, which is a dodge skill with no guard. Honestly, I think it's one of the stronger dodge options, although the new tier for dodge skills are now a thing. If you need more speed-based skills, Hilda then has attack and speed solo 4 and joint drive speed. Lots of good fodder on hand. This will bring us to our double new Colorless Mythics. We talked about them enough, but for skills, Fomortiis has the ever-potent attack and defense Far Save and the brand new Beast Follow-Up 3. We've already had Beast Agility for the fast units, Beast Near Trace for Cavs and Flyers, and now Beast Follow-Up for the probably slower units out there. Quite a lot of slower beast infantry that can use this skill, and you can consistently stay transformed to then play around with their tempo abilities. As for Gotoh, he has Joint Distant Guard, which is quite nice. With his weapon, he does grant +10 defense and res against ranged foes. You then have the new Guard 4 if you want a guard skill with damage reduction and some attack debuffs. It is quite easy to inherit both Guard 4 and Joint Distant Guard together. You can get Guard 1 and 2 from 4-star Titania or Leon, then get Distant Guard 1 and 2 from 4-star Linhardt or Merlinus. Use the 4 remaining skill inheritance slots to get the upgraded tier 3 and 4 skills for both of them. To further entice the new double colorless mythics, we have the return of Mythic Arval. They're a colorless mage with very high attack and res and can inflict guard on foes within 3 columns or 3 rows if Arval wins a res check. For combat, Arval gets accelerated specials, +5 to all stats, fall of denial, and true damage based on 20% res. Arval's duality grants a flat +9 attack and res, triangle advantage against red, blue, and green foes, and a free follow-up. Interesting twist on the usual weapon triangle. For skills, Arval has attack and res tempo 3 and the very strong attack and res oath 4. You cannot go wrong with the tier 4 oaths. Arval, Anima Mythic, so if you need to boost your Anima teams, you can get Arval and Fomortiis potentially. This is definitely a crazy colorless group all around. That will be it for this month's Mythic Banner, a surprise 2-for-1 deal and right before the anniversary, which is always suspicious. I would wait to see what the Hero Fest brings if you're on the fence, and there's also the Engage Cup banners going on, which is very enticing as well. If you're liking Fire Emblem Engage, then things may be rough if they also throw in another Engage banner in the second half of February. I think it's very likely, so be prepared. Personally, I would definitely be going for a copy of Fomortiis. They definitely did his final boss status some justice, especially in the visuals department. Alright, that's all I got for now. Back to finishing Fire Emblem Engage, and I'll be making some videos for it very soon. Next major FEH news will be in about a week for the February 2nd anniversary. Expect a FEH channel where we will finally see these COL 7 winners. I'm still hoping for them to add Brawling to FEH as well. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.